How many of us have struggled to calculate the tip every time we go out for dinner? In addition to the math involved, shout out to places that put the percentages at the bottom of the receipt. You have to factor in the service itself. It can be frustrating, but it suddenly starts to seem less important when you consider what people in the service industry have to go through every day. Dealing with ungrateful customers certainly doesn't make the job any easier. No matter how you work out the gratuity, don't be like this couple, whose tipping method has made them infamous. The husband even posted about it on Facebook thinking it was a clever idea, but when you read his plan, you might not feel the same way. Being a waiter or waitress at any restaurant is much more difficult than those who have never worked in the service industry may think. Waiters often work long, unforgiving hours during which they're forced to stay on their feet without breaks. And that's just the beginning. Throughout an entire shift, wait staff members are expected to remain as friendly, fast, and helpful as possible, which isn't always easy when customers can be unnecessarily rude or inconsiderate. That's just one of the reasons why tipping the people who serve you is customary in the United States. It's not just a way to thank them for a job well done, but it's the right thing to do to show sympathy for how hard they work. Perhaps more importantly, though, waiters and waitresses quite literally rely on tips to survive. Because tipping is expected from customers, most restaurants are able to get away with paying their wait staff less than minimum wage. If these workers are going to have any hope of paying their bills, they need those tips to add up. Unfortunately, though, there are people out there who either refuse to tip out of principle, or they aren't as generous as they should be. That's certainly the case with one couple who tried a unique dinner experiment recently. One married couple has become internet infamous for their extremely harsh and even cruel tipping method. The husband's plan, which he shared in a Facebook post, is described below, and it's definitely interesting. On behalf of anyone who has ever worked in the service industry, please never be like this guy. In all seriousness, not only did this method threaten to undertip the waitress, but it must have been humiliating for her. The couple would have received fine service just by being kind. It should be noted, of course, that technically you're not required to tip. You're not going to be arrested for eating at a restaurant and paying your bill without tipping, nor will the restaurant likely take any other action. Yet that doesn't make it the right thing to do. Generally speaking, it is customary to tip your waiter or waitress at least 15 to 20% of whatever your final bill for the meal is. If you're in a buffet-style restaurant and you're only being served drinks by the wait staff, 10% is acceptable. Frankly, if you can't afford to leave a reasonable tip, or even if you don't believe in tipping, which is a whole other story, you probably shouldn't be eating at restaurants at all. It just wouldn't be fair to the wait staff. Things happen when you're trying to get food out to people. The kitchen gets slammed, a dish gets dropped, another table has an emergency. That's to say nothing of the fact that this waitress might have deserved more than $5. In short, just be considerate.